Act 3, Scene 3. Brutus and Sicinius prepare to accuse Coriolanus in front of the people. They know that if they succeed to make him angry, his case will be ruined and he will not be able to restrain himself. They resolve to upset him as soon as possible when he arrives. Coriolanus comes with the senators and Menenius, who advises him to stay calm during the encounter. The confrontation takes the form of a trial, with Menenius advocating for Coriolanus to the people, while the tribunes and the aediles try to prove him guilty of treason. This is not a court of fact, but rather that of opinion, which gives advantage to the people's prejudice and preconception to determine whether they will judge Coriolanus guilty or not. The Brutus and Sicinius have already made their tribunes to understand that there are already decisions which they have already taken. When they say death, they should shout death. When they say banishment, they should shout banishment. Sicinius' official in charge to Coriolanus is that he wants to become a tyrant, and that is the source of the treason that he charges him with. Coriolanus bursts out and curses against the people, and Sicinius immediately uses this to condemn him and calls for a traitor's death, although Brutus disagrees with this harshness. But Coriolanus has another outburst, and all the chances of damage control are dashed to the wind. Sicinius finally says that Coriolanus takes this as the final sentence and decides he must act upon it and leave the city as demanded by the people. The people, tribunes, and aediles rejoice as they have gotten rid of the people's enemy, though Coriolanus has just yet become a true enemy of Rome. He receives the banishment with indifference and says there is a world elsewhere. And by the time he will be leaving Rome, he turns his back completely against it, and he wishes to punish the Romans for their ingratitude towards him despite his loyal and dedicated service to the Roman people. Although the tribunes are full of deceit, they are still very perceptive and have the necessary cleverness to pull off a plan of their own. They are all aware of what Coriolanus' weaknesses are and how to incriminate him through his own reaction towards them. The tribunes make an allusion to the custom of voting by tribes, a system that means casting votes in districts. The Rome method of voting was by class, although the class system ensured that whomever the patrician favored would be elected. Note that Sicinius' charge is not based on Coriolanus' action, but on intent and allegations. There is irony when Coriolanus is charged with attempted tyranny because he does not even want to become a political leader or figure or the consul that his mother wants him to become. Secondly, it is the tribunes who are trying to usurp power that is not their own, because they are the ones making decisions while senators are present. They are also trying to do away with the position in order to take power for themselves. The charge that the tribunes levy on Coriolanus is a false charge, and he gets mad and curses at the people. This is a move which condemns him and his political ambition. His tone is ruled by anger, and this brings out an unwarranted ferocity. The theme of words versus action is one of the tricks that tricks Coriolanus again and again. In battle, he is used to his mighty strokes being victorious, but here he does not realize that he cannot use his words like a sword, stabbing people indiscriminately with them and expecting them to tend to be so easily unaffected. Coriolanus, when he is angry, he is prone to using overstatements like, I would not buy mercy with one fair word. Menenius is altogether correct when he says Coriolanus is a man who shows plainly what he feels. Sisinnius' language in the announcement of the banishment is clearly worded in order to rally the people against Coriolanus, but also states a sticky truth about the situation. He finally says that Coriolanus attacks the ministers of the state, meaning himself and Brutus, rather than simply stating that he has wronged the people, which is not true. He takes the mantle of justice upon himself, saying he is one of those whose charge is to distribute it. He also assumed the mantle of the people, saying that he acts on their will when he banishes Coriolanus. By assuming all these mantles, Sisinnius' maneuvers become more clear. He is usurping the power of the Senate at large, since the masses and the tribunes hardly count as a whole body of the state. But when he has the force or momentum of the people behind him, stirred up by his incendiary remarks, he is very hard to stop. Cominius and Menenius might have been able to delay the decision had Coriolanus not taken a final pronouncement. There is foreshadowing when Coriolanus tells the people, have the power to banish your defenders, only to realize later on how ignorant they had been. The people's enemy is gone. They all shout once the scene comes to an end. But when Coriolanus will turn against Rome, they will realize that they do not have anyone to defend the city. There is also irony when the people consider Coriolanus, who has defended them and their city, as their enemy, whereas he has been serviceable to them. It is only when they banish him that he actually becomes the enemy of Rome, and the people are left with the tribunes, who are more enemies to Rome than Coriolanus. Coriolanus is not a reflective hero, and Shakespeare does not give him the space for soliloquy that other characters enjoy in other plays. He knows that he has betrayed some parts of himself by trying to please the people, and wonders why he should try to make the same betrayal again by making peace with the plebeians. The answer comes from a senator who says, by not so doing, our good city cleave in the midst and perish. But the most important reason is the voice of Volonia when she says to her son, I pray thee now, sweet son, as thou hast said, my praises first made thee a soldier so, to have my praise for this perform a part thou hast not done before. She tells him to do it because she wants him to, not because he has chosen to do so. Just like she made him to be a soldier, now she hopes to make him a politician. Like an obedient child, Coriolanus submits with, Mother, I am going to the marketplace. Cheat me no more. Coriolanus is a disaster as a politician, and the tribunes take advantage of his lack of tact and explosive nature. Contrastively, while Sisinnius calls for a traitor's death, Brutus prescribes a lighter sentence with the following explanation. He hath served well for Rome. Brutus at last recognizes Coriolanus' achievement as an individual and his service for Rome. At this point, even Menenius is helpless because Coriolanus had brought the whirlwind upon himself. He would have simply pretended to be peaceful, humble, and speak to the people in a more respectful manner with humility, and all would have been put back in place. Ironically, when Coriolanus accepts his banishment, he has already made an inward decision to betray Rome, and by the time he is on the road, he has resolved to seek Ophidius. In a different play, this inward treacherous decision full of a critical moment in which we will have access to the hero's inner turmoils through a soliloquy, but Coriolanus is not the type of character who introspects. But Coriolanus has an inner turmoil unlike Hamlet and Othello and other great tragic heroes. He has no inwardness at all. He is a man of quick decision and quick action and has no room in his consciousness of agonizing over whether or not to betray the city. By attacking it, he makes a decision, it is final, and we find no trace of conflicted feeling or remorse. As he goes out, he seeks Ophidius to carry out his revenge.